Welcome, everybody, to Why Are You an Entrepreneurs? The Trials and Triumphs of the Journey. I'm Maureen Edwards, the founder of 8 Simple Steps. And for those of you tuning in for the first time and don't know quite why I have put this together, this is a platform where I speak one-on-one with rock star entrepreneurs, whether they're just starting, they're building, or they've been in business for decades. They're here to share their inspiration, their words of wisdom to all of you small business owners who are also walking the journey. It elevates them and their authority and their ability to reach audiences they've never reached before. But I think more importantly, they have something to share. And I think they have a lot for you to hear. So tonight is no exception. I say it every week. My rock star entrepreneur is Linda Lauridsen. She is the founder and she calls herself the style director of Style Compass Academy. And so I want to welcome you, Linda, my rock star. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Oh, well, thank you very much for having me, Maureen. This is wonderful. Thank you so much. What a great platform.
It's a great platform for, I think, people like you who have an amazing company. And I think you've had it for a long time. And I think that people need to hear more about what entrepreneurship has been for you. And tell me, how did you even become an entrepreneur?
Isn't that a great point?
Mm.
Well, let's see. That's a great question because I started as a hairstylist and my general interest has always been in helping people feel better. And the automatic, I think I did my first haircut when I was 4 years old. I cut my neighbor's hair and I don't remember her mom asking me to do it, but I was positive she needed a bang trim. So clearly it was my calling. And it's just been a constant ever since. And so I was gifted the ability to find what I love early in my life. And I can remember my dad asking me, what do you want to do when you grow up? One of those serious questions. And I didn't blink. I didn't hesitate. It was just hairstylist right off the bat. And I loved the way that it was a feel good. It was a win-win. It was working immediately with people. It was solving a problem. It was identifying with them, having a struggle of my own, recognizing they wanted to feel good and wrap it all up in a pretty quick experience, something that was immediate. And then, the feedback of them being happy with the work and feeling better about themselves. So this instant gratification was addictive. That was it. Just that feeling of making people feel great. And I was blessed with a really great mentor early in my career, which gave me the insight to see the variety in the industry. So right off the bat, I said yes to everything. Anytime he said, do you want to take a course? I said yes. The opportunity came to be, did I want to join the Guild of Hair Design, which was a Toronto chapter here in Canada? And I didn't blink. I said yes. I didn't really know a lot about what I was saying yes to, but I was so eager because I didn't feel like I was really struggling through the learning stages. But does that have anything to do with being an entrepreneur? No. But I was gifted the joy of loving what I do. And shortly after, I was working in all kinds of different sectors in this industry. The idea of learning more and learning more just became an automatic. I wanted to do more. And with every aspect of learning to do more and honing in on it, the more I wanted to do it my way. And once I recognized my way was an opportunity and an option, I didn't look back. So I would say I started entrepreneurship at the age of 24.
Wow. Wow. Now, did you ever work for somebody else where you're like, aha, this is never happening again. I'm going to make entrepreneurship work. So you know the difference.
I did. I went back and forth. As I say, I was very blessed with a great mentor early in my career and worked in his salon for a solid 6 years, learning really what it means to hone your craft and be good at it. He's a genius when it comes to not only the business aspect of it, but also led by example. He was very hardworking and very committed. And then I went into my own position, my own business, left that salon. Then I went back to working for somebody else.
Ooh,
And I
all
did that
right.
for a couple of years.
All right, stop right there. Why, after taking the leap into owning your own business, would you go back to work for somebody else?
Yeah,
Because this is something people sometimes consider. They go, did I do the right thing? Is this working? What made you do that?
absolutely. I felt at the time it was I was ill prepared. I
Hmm.
had I had the skill set and I had the drive, but I didn't really have the know-how and all the other components, right? That drive the machine.
Right.
All of the not so fluffy, pretty hair color, blow dry, hairspray stuff, right? Accounting and bill
Yep.
paying and the real black and white of it to make the machine run. And at the time I thought, no, maybe I'm not. Maybe this isn't for me. And so I joined forces with another stylist, worked again for them,
Hmm.
and I think I lasted 2 years.
I was going to say, I don't think it was a long term gig.
I think I encourage everybody to do it. Now, I don't pretend to think that there's a straight line to entrepreneurship, but I do think that there are moments where if you really think that maybe you just need to kind of re-examine an option, you'll always learn. When I finally wrapped my head around, I'll never know everything. Someone can always teach me something. The only way I learn is through experience personally. You can talk to me all day long, but if I can get my hands in it and I can apply it to my everyday, then I'm learning. And so I don't see any of it as a bad idea. I didn't regret a minute of it, but it certainly taught me, actually, I knew more than I thought I did.
So, when you decided to go back and I guess start over again as an entrepreneur, did you feel like you knew a lot more at that point and had more clarity and direction?
No,
Okay. All right.
but I thought I had more confidence.
You know what? Sometimes that's all you need
It
is the
was.
confidence to
It
just
was.
go for it. Right.
Yeah, it was confidence. Yeah, it wasn't necessarily the clarity. It was the drive and it was the we're going to figure this out. Yeah. I know how to shop every day. I know my craft is there and I know that learning every day took the pressure off of thinking I had to be perfect and then and so that gave me the grace to accept those really heavy days that you kind of thought, oh, this day feels like it's just crashing in on me, and thought, okay, well, yeah, that's great. What did I learn today? And so that was a great turning point.
And I always say to entrepreneurs when they get down on something not working out, I say, what did you do today that you didn't do the day before? And this is important because writing it down will show you how much you have actually done. So I know you have frozen up just a little bit. Are you
So
back?
I'm buffering on my end, I think.
So,
I think
what
so.
advice would
Sorry
you
about that.
give? That's okay. What advice would you give then for a new entrepreneur who has taken the leap and maybe is struggling with a little bit of confidence issues? Sometimes we see a lot of people with imposter syndrome when they start their own company. They don't even want to talk about it much. What advice would you give to somebody?
Well, I can appreciate that. I really can because over the years, hairstyling was just such a focus for me, but I loved all the aspects of it. So I just kept learning more. So I took on becoming a makeup artist as well so that I could do photo shoots and photo work and TV and television and another component to my profession. And so I was always challenging myself. And then I became a big with, or the head teacher was on more component per day.
You're cutting out a little bit, Linda, and this is the good stuff. We want to hear it. Technology, don't you love it? Are you there?
Right?
Are you
I
there?
think so. I hope so. I am.
So you know, honed your craft, but it looks like you also took other things that you could expand your business. So if somebody is brand new, would you recommend just sticking to what they know first and not jumping around and really hone in this and get really good at it? Or would you say do this, this, and this?
I think that really getting good at something is an absolute must. I mean, really finding what you're good at takes time and it takes skill. And although I do hair, makeup, and image consulting, what I'm really good at that took, as they say, 10,000 hours to practice something, right? What I'm really good at is assessing a problem. When someone says, I don't feel flattered, or I don't feel attractive, or I'm feeling frumpy, I'm really good at problem solving and realizing it's tweaking this and it's tweaking that. It's not changing the whole thing. And so it took me, well, 3+ decades to really hone in on what I'm really good at. And I would discover that in different areas of interest. But I do think focusing on one area initially, understanding that the very best you possibly can. You know, I also really hone in on color. That was the thing that I really love about hair coloring, was the concept of color, the contrast of color, the complement, the chroma, the tone, the hue. And I could get lost in that conversation for ages. I could get lost in conversations about shapes and angles and you know, perspective and balance and proportion. And so what that is it's the principles of design. And so I think it's always like each year I would sort of assess and think, okay, what did I absolutely love about what I did this year? And then I would start to sort of dissect it a little bit more. And it kind of broke it down for me so that when we finally get into this word, you know, this niche that everyone wants you to be in, it's you know, my niche is problem solving and helping people really feel great about themselves again if they've, you know, want to regain their confidence if it's been a little wobbly. As a new entrepreneur going into a business, I think niche is a tough one, right? Like, I mean, that takes time to figure out. I think that's an overused word. I think what you get good at is what you're good at. And then you can start figuring out what that niche is. But I think it's a little wider than everybody's talking about. They want you to really chisel down to figure out what that niche is today. And I don't know if a new entrepreneur, they're capable, but I think it just takes a lot of like really understanding what you're good at.
And see, I totally agree with you that. And that's one of the things I really specialize in is niching down that target audience based on your expertise, your experience, your network. Let's work with this first. And you can always do what you're talking about and scaling in other passions and having legs going other places and different maps to take you other places. But it's just much easier, I think, for especially a new business to focus on one thing and get that audience and that messaging down. And then, you know, you can grow. But what I'm finding from you is that the passion that is coming out of you is so unbelievable. It's like you radiate everything you're talking about that you do. You absolutely love it. And the fact that you wanted to learn as much as you could to make it work. And then, you know, I want to do this in the beauty industry, this, it just shows that you absolutely love making a difference, whether it's for women or for men, but it's about them getting confidence, them feeling as good as you do, because the confidence you have is just, it radiates, Linda. And I just love it. I love it.
You know, it's funny. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. You reminded me I'd forgotten of this when we were in grade 12, way back when, in the awesome 80s. Um, our school put on a fashion show. And one of my friends asked me to help her. She was going to be in the fashion show. And she said, "Would you like to be in the fashion show?" And it's so funny because I went, "Oh, God, no. Put me backstage. I want to be in it. I want to see it. I want to feel it. I want to touch it. I want to organize it." And I was just, I can remember like, oh, it was like a kid in a candy store backstage. Like that's where I wanted to be. Don't even ask me to go down the runway. That's of no interest to me. I was like,
But you could. But what you're saying out there is you've got to have passion. You've got to hone your craft.
yeah,
And I think a lot of that leads to the confidence that you will get from that. When you feel good that you know what you're doing and you know what you're doing it for, who you're serving. And once you get clear on all of that, it's amazing how it falls into place. So
trusting yourself is
yeah,
confidence.
yeah.
I messed up many times, right? I mean, thank God hair grows back.
Oh,
But
well,
it was the confidence to show up again tomorrow. The confidence is trusting yourself and not thinking that you've got all the answers and not thinking that you recognize exactly the path you're supposed to take.
yeah,
Confidence is still showing up even when you've messed up
yeah,
because you trust
absolutely.
yourself and you realize you're following your heart. Your heart's your compass. The style compass is really about your compass is your heart, right? Like there's directions in how to get to the style. There's a direction in how to figure out how to get to where you want to go. But why it's so important to me that Style Compass Academy means, in your heart of hearts, how you feel about the way you look. It's how you feel about it. And that's your compass.
I absolutely love what you just said. And when we do make a mistake, it's okay to admit it, because I think people, when they see you make a mistake, it's real life and you just get back up and go, you know what? It's okay. I'm moving on.
Yeah.
And that's when they do see that you are confident, that there's no imposter syndrome here, right? This is real
Yeah.
life. This is real time. So, what do you think has been your greatest obstacle? Or maybe even now that, we all have obstacles that we're constantly battling as entrepreneurs. What is your greatest obstacle, either right now that you're still working on and working through, or in the past has been?
Great question. I would say my greatest obstacle is keeping up with what I want, how I want to serve clients, and the best way for them to receive it. And so, does that mean the technology of today? Possibly. Does it mean delivering information in a way that's digestible versus, again, that talking thing, right? Like just talking at them and telling them. My biggest obstacle would be, still pivoting from 2020 and going from how I used to do things to how I want to do things. And that's been a huge challenge, one of my greatest experiences ever. And it's really taken me out of my comfort zone, which has been an amazing growth time. But yeah, big obstacle.
So, I'd like for you to clarify that. Is that something you're talking about during COVID? Things just shut down and it was like, wow, I got to figure out where I'm going to take this company.
Yeah, that was exactly it. As a hairstylist, we were legally not allowed to work for 9 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, when I told my dad I wanted to be a hairstylist, he said to me, "Well, you'll always have a job no matter the economy." And I remembered thinking, what's an economy? I was 14. I didn't know what an economy was. So fast forward to, we would always have a job,
Yeah.
regardless of stock market, regardless of, you know, oddly enough, and unfortunately, when 9/11 happened, hairstyling beauty interest went up 30% that year.
Yeah. I bet.
Because people needed a contact. People needed to go somewhere to be touched, to allow that we're legally one of four professions that are allowed to legally touch people. In that body contact, that assurance to feel good and have that feeling of Everything's going to be okay. I can control something right now. I can control my hair, and this is going to be okay. Plus, I get to, talk about it. So we're like, we're like therapists, right? You get your hair done, you get your therapy, wrap it all up in an hour. That's best $40 you'll ever spend, right?
All right, I have to say something here because I've had the same hairdresser for about 24 years, and his practice, his salon is called Therapy with hair in it.
Love it.
I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah.
And it's funny when you find a good stylist like we're talking about, you never leave them, and I will come up with the money regardless to have my hair done. So yeah, you would think it's recession proof, but you ran into something that was
It
so
was
unique.
recession proof.
Right.
It was not global pandemic
Proof.
proof. Now, and I remember the first 6 weeks, and we're coming up to the 3-year mark. And I remember the first, well, it was 12 weeks, but I didn't know what to do with myself. I have never not worked. I had never stopped doing hair from the age of God knows what. I mean, I started at 4. So whenever I could, I'd dabble in it. I have never been able to not work. And so whether it was in the hairstyling or, really wanting to take my career to the next level with image consulting so that I could be a head to toe stylist and work with women who were saying, men and women who were saying, I'm getting a new career. My children have, left and we're empty nesters. Now I've got time to be able to care for me. And, I've started, dating again or all of these midlife kind of experiences. And that was my client. That's who my client is. That's who I love to work with. And so, the pandemic hit 2020 and all of a sudden everything flatlined. I was absolutely not working, period. And so I had to think to myself, well, how do I pivot this so I can still be of service to my clients, so I can still get information out, so I can still help them? And I thought, well, I've got to reach out to them through technology. I've got to be able to figure out how to create an environment that they can still learn from, still engage with a stylist and in an area that they always wanted to explore, but didn't know who to ask.
This is what every entrepreneur at some point is going to have to experience, whether you're forced with a global pandemic or industry regulations come about, a competitor comes about. You should always be thinking about a rescue plan, right? Risk mitigation. And it's something we get so bogged down in the nitty gritty that we're never even thinking if this could go wrong, right? But I do think COVID made businesses wake up. They really did. I think that it made them more frugal. I said when Cheesecake Factory couldn't even come up with 6 weeks of rent, right? Now people are like, I need a little bit better preparation. Let's hope this never happens again. But who knows if something else could?
Yeah.
So what you're sharing is so important. It's about pivoting. It's about being flexible. And I also think it's about being innovative. You know what I mean? You had to come up with something in your wheelhouse that you could innovate by selling it to the client. Like this is what you need.
And so I
You're breaking up just a little, girl. I can't. Yeah, I think you're back now.
Okay.
Can you? I don't know what you said, but I'm sure it all sounded great. But I do want to have you give the audience like one top fashion tip for 2023 that you feel the everyday woman could take advantage of.
Well, I would say that the 2023 is about, okay, so let's talk hair, movement, makeup, soft, and clothing, 80s influence, but softer. So denim is huge, 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 huge. I mean, denim has moved into the first
Okay, so I know you're breaking up a little bit here. Our connection is not the best. So I definitely, yeah, our connection isn't that great. So before we end, I don't want you to lose you. So I want you to share with people how they can get a hold of you, Linda. That's what I want them to know, to just, if they need you for style imaging, you know, maybe they're local for a haircut, but I'm gathering this is so much more. Where do they reach out to you?
Yeah, they can reach out to me in any of my social media, which is the Style Compass Academy. They're welcome to email me at Linda@Style Compass Academy. Follow me on YouTube at Linda Lauridsen 5983. That silly number. But I'm also going to be doing a challenge in the spring to help inspire people to get into their closet, see their clothes in a new way, and inspire them to, you know, show up for themselves and in a way that gives them a new, fresh take on things, and be able to have a stylist in their pocket so that they can have some guidance. And I provide online courses and workshops as well. So it's a combination. The academy really means to be able to be involved on a regular basis so that there's always a learning aspect to being able to feel and look good from the inside out.
So it's like having my style designer in my pocket, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Do you have a website?
Yeah, it is thestylecompassacademy.com.
Okay.
And through there is an easy way to just sign up for newsletter, you know, without being overpressured. Feel like they want to download my free booklet. I have 5 easy ways to look slimmer without wearing black guidelines, so that it just gives some insights, right? Just some little tips that help, you know, just kind of feel better about some things that we can do instantly, which I think is something we're always looking forward to be able to embrace who we are today, but to always feel good about moving forward.
I absolutely love that. Well, if you want to get a hold of Linda and talk with her about all things being absolutely beautiful and confident, please reach out to her. She obviously is incredibly passionate and incredibly good at what she does. And I think the whole message here tonight is hone your craft and be really confident that when you're good at it, it does fall into place. And it's all about confidence. So, Linda, will you come back at another time and share with people what's happening?
I would be happy to anytime, Maureen. Thank you for having me. It was wonderful.
Oh, it's
sorry for buffering.
That's okay. That's all right. We got the bulk of it. So for everybody out there who is a small business owner, who's been in business for many years, or you're just starting, I would love to hear your story. And we have a whole audience who wants to hear it too, because you have a story to tell, and I have a place here where you can tell it, because there are people who need to hear it. So please reach out to me at 8simplesteps.net if you would like to be a guest here on Why Are You an Entrepreneur? It's our weekly series at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Thursday, where these rock stars come together, and it's about best practices, words of wisdom, and inspiration. You don't have to walk the journey alone. Entrepreneurship is hard, but it doesn't have to be. And I'm here to take the hard out of the process for you. Everybody, we are out. And please, let's see you next week. All right, everybody, take care.
Bye.